Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Oldish TV. As always, I am your host, Karen Brown, the publisher and editor of The Oldish. And today we want to talk about food. But first, I'm going to talk to you about this picture that's behind me, just for a wee minute. I was on vacation for the last couple of weeks in Newfoundland, which is on the eastern coast of Canada, for those of you who don't know. And it is absolutely gorgeous. This was the view out the window at the front of the house that we Airbnb'd. Now, the little white platform there is a bit crooked, so your eyes are not deceiving you, but the bay was absolutely beautiful. And I'm looking at it now behind me. I just love it. There's a fire pit there. If I move to one side, you see the fire pit? We would sit there with our glasses of wine in the evening and have a fire going, and it was just lovely. I am told that occasionally whales frolic in that bay. We didn't see any frolicking going on. There were some noisy seagulls, but they were okay. It was just a beautiful vacation, and so to all of our viewers from Newfoundland, thank you for your hospitality. It was an absolutely glorious vacation, very relaxing. We didn't see any moose, no moose, but lots of whales, and had a very interesting time. So let's get on then with our topic of the day, which is food. Now, I don't know about you, but I am constantly seeing news articles that say, this is good for you, you should eat it, and then a week or a month later, something else will come out and say, it's bad for you, and this is why. And it's just so contradictory that, by gosh, it's hard to know what to eat anymore. I want to show you some of the articles that we've published on the Oldish, which are not necessarily going to clear up any havoc that goes on about diets, but let's take a look anyway. This is something that we saw. Plant-based diet may reverse prediabetes. Now, I actually, not entirely intentionally, sort of unintentionally, eat a rather plant-based diet. I do eat chicken and turkey, fish occasionally, but this is talking about a plant-based diet helping people with prediabetes. They're talking about a diet focused on fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and nuts, while lowering the amount of red and processed meats consumed. So that seems to be one part of the equation. That sounds very much like a Mediterranean diet to me, doesn't it to you? I mean, we talk about a Mediterranean diet a lot here and how it is highly recommended. And that has never really stopped. We'll take a look at a bunch of diets that are recommended in 2019 in a few minutes. But that is one article that we published. Here's another one. Here is another one that talks about high blood sugar linked with increased risk for dementia. A lot of stuff is at increased risk for dementia, it seems. Now, this one I struggle a bit with because I have a sweet tooth and I like carbs. I'm not going to lie, I like carbs. But they are talking about high doses. You should swear off soda and sweets, a new study has determined, because it has an impact on cognitive function. I don't doubt for a minute that it has an impact. And there is sugar that can be found naturally in a lot of foods. Doesn't a lot of that look really yummy? I had a piece of cheesecake yesterday while out at lunch with a friend that I probably should not have eaten, but it had peanut butter in it. What are you going to do? This one kind of surprised me a little bit. This talked about processed fish and how it might be carcinogenic. Now, understand that when they're talking about processed, they are talking about smoked and cured fish. So back in the day, way back in the day, foods used to be preserved by putting them in salt and by smoking them. And now they're saying, don't do that. So they're talking about foods like ham, bacon, sausage, pepperoni, jerky, or hot dogs, and how they have been assessed to be at an increased risk for cancers of the colon, possibly the pancreas, and the prostate. So that is the kind of stuff that they are talking about there. And at the end of the day, our writer did a takeaway that a small amount is probably not a big deal, but to eat a steady diet of it, not a good idea. So red meat has been declared by the World Health Organization as a possible carcinogen. Now, we've heard that before, right? I don't personally eat a lot of red meat. Usually in the summertime, I can have a craving for a really good steak once or twice, maybe 3 or 4 times. This summer, I have not eaten steak at all. So that just has not been something that has been high on my wish list. I don't know. Do you guys? What do you do? Do you eat red meat? Are you eating red meat at all, or are you sticking with fish, chicken, turkey, or none of the above? Are you eating a plant-based diet? I'd like to know. I'd like to hear from those of you who are watching to see what you are eating. Now, at this point in time, let's switch over to, this is another article. It really did my heart good. Using traditional foods to heal patients. But even so, in a broader context, using food as medicine is something that sounds right to me and feels right to me. And I think that if you listen to your body, it tells you what it wants. It will tell you it needs more vegetables. It will tell you it needs more water. It will tell you that it needs more protein. I really, truly believe that your body will tell you that. But I find it very interesting that hospitals, and this is on the West Coast in Canada that this article came from, they are using diets to help patients heal faster and better instead of that old traditional hospital food. I know that in the hospital where I am a board member, we talk about retherm food occasionally. We don't have it, but a lot of hospitals do use retherm food because it is easier on the budget. Being easier on the budget is not always the same thing as being the best thing for the patient. I'm just going to say that. You can feel free to argue with me. There are lots of hospitals that will argue with me. There is a site that I follow, or a Facebook page that I follow, that showed pictures of long-term care facility food in a province that this particular poster's loved one was served. And it was a lot of mashed potatoes with gravy on the side, and I think there was minced pork contained within the mashed potatoes. And that was dinner. I don't think that's really healthy, myself. I don't think that that's necessarily a healthy diet. Anyway, I totally agree with the idea of using food as medicine, and I don't think you have to be sick in order to eat the food that your body tells you it wants. Now, the Mediterranean diet. This is something we have seen a lot of. The Mediterranean diet was chosen as the best diet choice in 2019. Not surprisingly, it contains, there's the food chart. Not surprisingly, it does contain grains, but it also contains a healthy amount of plants and fruits in their pure forms. So what the Mediterranean diet is telling us is that we should be using all of these foods and not monkeying about with them, not processing them, not adding processed foods to them. But you know the old saying that when you go to a grocery store, if you shop around the exterior of the store, that will be where you find the healthiest foods for your diet. I have a daughter who has celiac disease, and so processed foods are largely a no-no for her. And for her, shopping around the exterior of a grocery store is the ticket. So if you buy vegetables, steam them that way, or Whatever you're going to do with them, just don't add stuff to them. That seems to be largely what the Mediterranean diet is telling us we should do. Now, the Mediterranean diet also includes some sweets we can see here. I'm down with that. There is some fish, fresh fish, cheeses, wine. Wine is included in the Mediterranean diet. Now, I'm going to show you another article that we posted that had to do with grapes. It always seems to be red wine that's the wine that is chosen. So this article is suggesting that the grapes just by themselves without the fermenting brings you the nutrients that you need and provides the health benefits that everybody actually can get from red wine. So, if you are an alcoholic or don't wish to consume alcohol, it seems that just the grapes will be fine for you. Now, I'm not so much a red wine person, I am a white wine person. Interestingly, though, when I'm in Europe, I do drink red wine and I don't get the headaches from it that I get here in Canada. I think it's the tannins, it's the things that we demand to be in the wine when we import it, because over there, it's not a factor. Or maybe it's just that I'm in Europe and I'm being more carefree. I don't know. But anyway, for those of you who like wine, the Mediterranean diet. So let's take a look at these diets, because this is the chart that is really particularly interesting. The best diets for 2019 in a variety of categories. Best diet overall, the Mediterranean diet. Can't beat it. It's got everything in it. The DASH diet came in number 2. Flexitarian diet. Now that's something that I'm hearing more and more about, where literally you're more flexible. Check that out if you're interested. It is something to look at. Best weight loss diets, though, Weight Watchers. You can do the Mediterranean diet on Weight Watchers, though. Yes, you can. So that is maybe something that you should take a look at. Commercial diet plans, Weight Watchers came in first. Jenny Craig, second nutrition diet. I'm not a huge fan of diets where you have to buy special food, because I really feel that once you have achieved your goals and you stop following that diet quite so religiously, you go back to buying food at the grocery store, you're going to put the weight back on. That's just my feeling about it. Best diabetes diet, Mediterranean, number 1, and the DASH diet, number 2, and there's that flexitarian diet again. Best diets for healthy eating, Mediterranean, followed by DASH and flexitarian. Fast weight loss. Fast weight loss. Is there really such a thing as healthy fast weight loss? I don't know. Best heart healthy, Mediterranean. Best plant-based, Mediterranean. Easiest diet to follow, Mediterranean. There you go. So, folks, I think that what we really need to do is follow our own body. I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of eat what I want to eat it, and if it's something apart from that peanut butter cheesecake yesterday, that was a big no-no, but I did it. Apart from that sort of slip in my discipline, if I want something, I just tend to eat a smaller portion of it or less of it, because I find that when I deprive myself, that's when I really get into trouble. If I deprive myself, I start to feel deprived and I start getting obsessed about whatever it is that I'm not allowing myself. I'm bad. I'm just bad that way. I don't have the kind of discipline that some people have. But I do try to follow a plant-based diet. In fact, one of my favorite foods to make for myself is this bizarre sort of casserole. I really love roasted vegetables. So I will go to the grocery store and I'll buy the vegetables that appeal to me. I'll bring them home and chop them up. It's nothing too precise. And I will roast them in the oven with a bit of olive oil. Just roast them. And when they come out of the oven, I will get it's actually a meatloaf pan. And I'll put layers of these roasted vegetables with tomato sauce, a healthy one, a healthy tomato sauce. And so that I do purchase pre-made. I don't make my own, but I'll go to the grocery store and I'll read the labels and buy something that is healthy. And I'll layer these roasted vegetables with a bit of tomato sauce and some cheese. And then I will put that back into the oven and warm it through. And a meatloaf pan, I will probably 3 days, 4 days worth of food that I make for myself. It's not lovely making food for yourself when it's just you. I find myself much more engaged with the whole meal preparation thing when my family's home. But when it's just me, I will do that. I get a bit obsessive about food, not going to lie about that either. I get a bit obsessive. For months at lunchtime, I had an avocado mashed up with lime on a piece of toast and a matcha tea. That was my lunch, literally for months. Then I got tired of it, and now I eat tuna. I'm eating tuna on bread with water, just with water. So I do go through these periods of time where certain foods appeal to me and I eat them sort of obsessively. I think that's probably partly a function of living by myself and the fact that it's just not exciting to cook for myself. But then for dinner, I do love this vegetable meatloaf thing. In fact, I'm going to make it tonight because I've been talking about it so much that that's just what I'm going to do. Anyway, tell me what you like to eat. Tell me how you like to cook, whether it is just yourself or you're still cooking for a family, or maybe you're cooking for you and a partner, or sharing the duties. Maybe grilling is your thing. I don't know. Let me know what you think. And I would be very interested in hearing how you eat, what sort of a diet you eat. And go ahead and out yourself. If you eat a ton of carbs and a ton of sugar, tell us, and I will live vicariously through you. That is our show for today, folks. I thank you very much for being with us. And until we meet again next Wednesday for another edition of The Oldish TV, I will hope that you stay well, look after yourself, and please do remember that it takes a village to age a senior, including your diet.